Maybe that's what we need. We need some coyote codes. Sabra says Black women are on protest hiatus. The 92% are prescient enough to know we are being targeted. Let the 60% who voted fix their own mess. Sabra, you in the wrong place with that. You in the wrong place with that. This is an ignorant comment. First of all, it has. Let me just acknowledge this real quick for the 11th time for Sabra and anybody else. 1, the election was rigged. It has been stated 11 times. All right. If you didn't hear it the first time, maybe you wasn't here before. I'm going to play it for you again because I want you to hear it so that you can understand how nonsensical this statement is.
It was sad because I said, can you imagine I'm not going to be president? And that's too bad. And then what happened is they rigged the election and I became president. So that was a good thing.
Okay. So there's that. The election was rigged. So we're going to start there. So this idea that somebody could have saved this country by voting a certain way is completely nonsensical. It is rooted in falsehood. 2, the concept that you're basing your identity on voting numbers and you don't even know where those numbers came from is really questionable to me. These numbers, even if these numbers came from Gallup poll is run by U.S. ambassadors and former members of the corporatocracy. Those are not two groups that we can continue to be independent sources. Okay? So those two groups are the ones that are determining the poll numbers that come through the mainstream media. Again, the mainstream media, also not a reliable resource. So to place an identity on numbers given to you by unreliable resources, to me, is not really about anything truly honest. To then further place your identity on we did what we were supposed to do, while not understanding that along with what you were supposed to do, there was more than just voting. What you were supposed to do was also, if you were going to be staunchly for the protection of Black people, that meant also making it clear to other people how we can be in coalition. That requires compassion. That requires empathy. That requires knowledge. So if you're going to tell other people that they need to vote for you while shaming them and acting as if we are the only victims, that is simply just impractical. Black people, yes, we are victims in this nation of many things related to this Constitution, related to the continued purveyance of white mediocrity as supremacy. I can go on and on and on and on. You know who else are victims of this nation's imperialism? Trans people, Palestinians, Muslim people, Arab people, immigrants, the working class. Need I go on? And the number one, the Native Americans. So the real we did what we were supposed to do needed to include coalition building that Democrats weren't doing. And if your feeling was, well, they couldn't do it because, then that's when you were supposed to step in. And that's what I did. I said, well, if she can't do it and they can't do it because, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk to other people and see what their issues were. But you know what? While I was doing that, the Democrats were actively saying, we don't care about your issues. So then what am I supposed to do? Continue to convince people that they need to vote for people who don't care about them when there are other options to vote for? That makes no sense. And it's not in line with my integrity or my values. Now, I can understand Black people being on protest hiatus, which is spelled hiatus. I can understand Black people being on protest hiatus for the simple fact that if we are in the protest, we become the story, not the protest. If we are in the protest, they will 100% target us and we become the story, distracting from the protest. They use us. We become a part of the quote unquote Antifa model and, oh, the blacks are acting up again. They're so savage. That is what happens, and it derails from actually what needs to protest. That's one. Two, black people have continuously been out here making measures to make this country go in the direction it claimed that it wanted to go, and it hasn't happened. And so we're like, okay, then perhaps we need to switch up the efforts. I'm going to sit back and do this other thing while y'all put your bodies on the line, because your bodies are the ones they actually respect, because all lives matter, right? But if your perspective is, I'm not going to protest because those people voted for Trump, that is an absolutely erroneous standpoint to stand from. There are people who 100% are not Trump supporters that are also feeling the brunt. There are also people who are Trump supporters that also abandoned their own people. I don't think we understand the nuance within the immigrant community, that there are a whole bunch of immigrants who look at other immigrants as less than because they didn't come the way they did, which again is a part of this classist hierarchy. So when we support and we perpetuate these things under the guise of we're supporting ourselves because we're black women, we are actually falling into the burning house that Dr. Martin Luther King talked about of U.S. immorality. We are mimicking it. When we're saying we're not going to march for Palestinians because Palestinians in America didn't vote for Kamala Harris, did you think you were marching just for Palestinians in America? Because we were marching for the end of a genocide. We're marching for our tax dollars to not be used for a genocide. If you're going to pay taxes, wouldn't you rather them go to you having universal health care versus Israel having it and you not having it? If that's what you need to be out there, then make that make sense. But if your reasoning for not going is because I'm not going to care about the Palestinian men, women, children, and non-binary people, disabled people that are being genocided, I'm not going to care about them because the Palestinians here didn't vote for the person enacting genocide, you sound incredibly immoral. You sound like you have lost touch with your soul and your humanity. And you also sound like Zionists who are 1,000% using collective punishment, who are 1,000% saying that for the actions of these small people, we're going to make all these people pay. So miss me with this. And when you say fix their own mess, please understand we are a part of this mess. All of us Black Americans here in this country who forgot that we were still being genocided, who have definitely treated having access to money and corporatocracy as advancement, who have treated being in political positions without expectation as some level of elevation, we are a part of this mess. We are a part of this mess. So miss me with this. And you're probably not even still here because you don't even want to hear the truth. But maybe you are. And if you are still here, I hope you've heard this truth, because this is all of our problem. Let me just say this. Let me add this, though. All of that passion you hear from me is from a place of love. It's really that. It's from a place of, I want us to do better so we can do better. I want us to know better so we can do better. And I don't deliver it in a sweet, soft way, because it's not a sweet, soft problem. It's not a sweet, soft problem. We're talking about Mahmoud Khalil, okay? So we're talking about Mahmoud Khalil, and Sabra, if after I said all of that, you still got something to say other than thank you, Miss Seals, then you weren't listening. And that's really what it is. You weren't listening. You're here continuing to say things to feel correct and things that I've already addressed. because you want to feel legitimized. And what I said in my diatribe was there's nuance. Okay? There is nuance. Your nuance is imperative. The nuance of why you are withholding your body from protest is imperative. The intention is imperative. Because our intention and our nuance is going to determine who our community is. And our community is going to determine what actions we end up involving ourselves in. Am I right? So we have to have clarity of intention. And if your intention is rooted in spite, then you are going down a dark path that is no better than your oppressor. I promise you. And I don't say that from a self-righteous place. And Sarah Gabrielle, she says, babes, that's in the past. We know that history. We know that Black women don't get much, if anything, back when they fight. But standing aside does nothing but make Black women vulnerable. And I think that there's something valuable in what this white lady is saying, in the sense that standing aside doesn't have to be doing nothing. And that's what I've been talking about, right? I've been talking about that. Like, standing aside does not mean doing nothing. And there have been many people who have said their version of standing aside is not doing nothing. So I'm not even suggesting that that's what you mean. But when people come in here throwing around numbers as identifiers, I don't like that. I don't like that. I think it's really imperative that we are clear about what is driving us. And as Not Alleged says, because Not Alleged always be having the knowledge, okay? Rain doesn't fall only on one roof. 8. Okay, so Sabra, you don't want to listen. And so I don't know. So I'm going to mute you so you can think about if you want to come back, because you just don't want to listen. And maybe you just need to go listen to what I said again, because you were in your feelings, or maybe you were just focused on responding instead of listening. So I'm putting you in timeout. You're not banned, but I'm putting you in timeout. Okay. So Sabra has come back and said, Amanda, if knowledge is power, can we collectively come up with protest methods that don't help the ops? Julian Assange did. Apartheid did. Please, can we explore protests that don't start martial law? Yes, and we have been working on that, and that is actually a part of what I want to talk about tomorrow for our critical thinking segment. And I think that that is an incredibly important way to move forward. And I think that there's a place for all of us in this conversation. I also think that martial law, for what it's worth, will happen regardless. And we're going to need the same communities that we come together to form in order to do so. So I absolutely am down with that and completely welcome that. And thank you for bringing that to the conversation, because it is imperative. 100. And you see the chat with you. Because that's the Amanda Landers. That's the Amanda Landers. We here. That's why we got to come up with protest vests. Who's going to make protest vests? Come on. Make protest vests. I'll buy it. I'll be the first one. I will make protest vests. And let me also say, because Cyber said that's why my 63-year-old butt is here and I can use a walker. Listen, I want you to know that I am honored that your 63-year-old self is here, because we need elders. We need young folks. We need everybody, because all of us have different wisdom. We have different experiences. And in order for us to be a community, we have to build bridges, not walls. You understand me? So I appreciate you coming back, and I appreciate you bringing this into the conversation, and you are a part of our barbecue. So we need you here. And we need you here also because you're 63 and you still care. A lot of folks is over it. They like, we don't need this, we done. But you still here. You still care. And that's incredible in itself. So thank you, Sabra.
Arm yourself with truth. Arm yourself with curiosity. Arm yourself with love. Arm yourself with community. Arm yourself with courage. Arm yourself with passion. Arm yourself with radical creativity. Save yourself. A new drop from Amanda Land Export.
I enjoyed laughing and learning with you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell your friends. Also, listen to the podcast. It's available everywhere pods are casted. Listen ad-free by subscribing to Patreon Amanda Seals. Come on and join the Seals Squad. Views from Amandaland. Live 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, with content on Thursday and Friday at YouTube Amanda Seals TV.